Okay, good evening. I would like to call to order the special meeting for Concord Township special meeting for pre-application conference for proposed residential conservation development district. So this evening we have members of the Concord Township Zoning Commission as well as the Board of Trustees here to have a dialogue about an application that it's pre-application, so we don't have it yet, but regarding a potential RCD district. In addition to the boards, we have Ms. Heather Freeman and our zoning inspector here. So I'm going to go through and I want to get an assessment. I've got from the Zoning Commission, I believe I see here present Andy Lingenfelter. Frank Schindler, are you online? I don't hear Frank. I see Hiram Reppert here. Rich Peterson, are you online?
You're not broadcasting through the phone, so.
Oh, they're not hearing us.
I'm mirroring the meeting and I don't hear you coming through, that's why. You're on mute.
I think you're on mute there,
Might be on
Heather.
mute.
Is that the red button? Yep, try it now.
Okay,
Now you're coming through.
let's do this again. All right, so we are here for a pre-application meeting, Concord Township. We have the zoning board and the trustee board here to review a pre-application for conservation zoning. Just to catch up, I am going through our zoning commission members. All three trustees are here. I have Andy Lingenfelter, present Hiram Reppert. Frank Schindler, are you on virtually or via the phone?
I'm on the phone, gotcha.
And Rich Peterson?
I'm on the phone also, Morgan.
Great. And I see Rich Eiffelis here in person, and our zoning alternate, I saw her come in, Ashley Garkar. Okay. So what I will do is ask the applicant to come forward and just give a short presentation of their plan, and then we'll go through the boards for questions and comments regarding this possible application. I do want to clearly communicate that this is it's a public meeting for the sense that it's able to be viewed, but there is no public comment at this time. This stage in the process does not have a public comment section. If the application comes forward and we go through this process, there will be two public hearings, one with the Zoning Commission and one again with the Board of Trustees. So that would be the appropriate time for public comment. I do want to add that we would expect anybody that's listening just to listen and not to make unsolicited comments. If you do make comments through our meeting, we will consider that disrupting a public meeting and we'll take appropriate action. So with that, I would like to welcome the applicant and ask them to come up and go through their proposed plan. Hello.
So I know
And
we're talking about,
if you could first just state your name and address for the record, so we.
my name is Allison Moore and I live at 8055 Fernway Court in Concord Township. So before we started with the zoning plan, I just wanted to spend a few quick minutes and just give you a little bit of background and tell you a little bit about the community that we're proposing today. Thank you. So we are calling this the Villas at Cameron Farms, and it's an Epcon community by 20th Century Construction. For those of you who may or may not know, 20th Century Construction, we've been building homes, single-family homes, and developing communities throughout Northeast Ohio since 1981. We're family-owned and operated, and we are all residents of Concord Township, so very heavily invested in the community. Some of you may or may not have heard of Epcon or know someone who lives in an Epcon community. They have been building communities for those 55 years and older since 1986. They, along with their partners, have developed over 400 communities across 31 states in the country. And here's just a little snapshot of their locations and the communities that have been built. There have been about 30,000 Epcon homes to date, or as of 2019. Now you may wonder why this partnership between us and Epcon, and You know, really it comes down to clients that we've been building homes for, that we built homes for 20, 30 years ago, have reached out to us and said, you know, we love our 20th century home, but we're ready to downsize. We're ready to, well, let's call it right size. They really just, you know, they want to get rid of the big yard, they're ready. So as we kind of thought through, how should we go about doing this? You know, should we do it ourselves and come up with it, or should we look elsewhere and see if we should partner with someone? When we came across EPCON, we felt that it was a really nice fit. Our 40 years of building homes and their 35 years delivering a lifestyle and home plans that really meet the needs of this 55-year-old and older community. We just felt that it was a really, really nice pairing, and that we would be able to provide, you know, a lot of value to the people in the community who are looking for this product. Now, what makes the villas at Canterwood Farms different? The first and foremost, it's the lifestyle. It's a low maintenance living. So they don't have to worry about coming home from a vacation and shoveling snow. They don't have to worry about mowing their lawns. It's all going to be taken care of for them. In addition, the community amenities. So we're planning a clubhouse, a fitness center, and are hoping to put in a pool as well. We obviously are still working through the numbers, but you know, it's really a place that the residents can come and be social and be involved with their residents, whether it's a happy hour book club or morning coffee with the guys. You know, it provides such a lifestyle that many are looking for. Oops. Oh, sorry, this is a little touchy. Also, the home plans, they're a very universal design. The home buyers are going to have options to design features that they want in their house now, not only for now, but also in the future, so that they can really age and make this their forever home. Not only are they functional, they're attractive. They're all nice open floor layouts with, you know, a separated master bedroom and guest bedroom. Each home has a private courtyard for their enjoyment. Again, these are just 3 samples of, you know, what we will be offering them, and there's a lot of options for them to choose from. Some things they might know they want, other things they might not even know are out there, and it's what's really great about these communities, having, you know, just worked for 35 years to really nail down what these clients are looking for. Also, the community impact on versus the traditional single-family homes. So these folks are, you know, they're empty nesters. They don't have school-age children, so there's minimal impact on the schools. In addition, the traffic is reduced. So the next slide I will show you. Essentially, these folks are leaving their homes about 50% less a day than a traditional single-family development, which is great because you have, you know, increased tax revenues, but you're not necessarily having the additional expenses associated with this type of community. So this is a little bit hard to see. So on the left-hand side, there is, it's showing you the traffic in a 24-hour period, a daily traffic, for a senior adult detached community. And on the right, it's showing you a traditional single-family detached community. Now, it's really almost nearly impossible to read out there, but I will run it through you. So if you're looking at about 62 lots, folks in these in the 55+ type of community are traveling, making about 5 trips a day, a little over 5 trips a day, versus the single-family detached housing, it's a little over 10. So overall, it's about 336 trips in a 24-hour period versus 638. In addition, those blue bars rather, they're not leaving at the same time. So they're kind of steady throughout the day versus a lot of traffic during peak drive times. So their habits are different than a traditional single-family home. And finally, sorry. You know, these are owner-occupied houses, and it's different because it's nothing that's been produced in Concord Township. And we're really excited about it because it's an opportunity to keep lifelong residents in our community. I said I would be brief. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess I'll ask, is there anybody else from the applicant's side that would like to come forward and make a presentation or share with us any comments or anything?
I guess we could, just point this direction.
That's fine.
So,
And
My
then
name's
if you
Jeff
could just
Small.
give us your name and
Yep.
address for the record.
Jeff Small, 7992 Stillwater Court, Concord Township. So we produced a yield plan based on the zoning code and what they're looking for based on half-acre lots. We produced 62 marketable homes and lots under the current yield plan. And we took into account the wetlands are all in green. We showed the impact that the houses would have in like a lighter green. We show the retention areas on the property, and I'm trying to think of what else, in the streets. And we had a previous meeting with Heather and David Datchie and kind of got their input before we kind of finalized this to present it, just to make sure that we were on the same page and we were kind of on the right track with how things were going. So this is what we came up with to get the yield of 62 lots.
Oh, excuse me. I think you spoke on 56 lots.
Oh, sorry, 56. I'm sorry. I was thinking of the density, so the bonus calculation. Sorry.
So you've got, okay, so 56 on the yield plan and you're at 62 on the RCD.
RCD, yes. Sorry, I was thinking of the RCD. Okay. My fault.
I think Allison mentioned that you could maybe, I'm sorry, I had a question and it's more appropriate for her to answer. I can have her come back up. But you talked about the clubhouse, the fitness, and then hopefully a pool. Where does that fit into your plans? I mean, it doesn't sound like that was definite.
As far
The
as you
pool,
mean
like
the pool,
she said clubhouse and the fitness room, and then hopefully a pool. I was just curious what dynamics are playing into how you'll make that decision, or if you've determined that yet.
has the final determination been met 100%? No, we're definitely leaning towards it. We're looking at trying to make sure we get the correct yield, because obviously you need to spread those costs over the more lots you can spread costs over. You know, there's other plans too, if there's other ideas that we could bring to there as well. Pickleball courts is something that EPCON's been doing lately. So we're going to try to make this as attractive as possible as a community area, so it's people feel like they're part of the community, rather than just the house in the neighborhood and you got to drive everywhere for everything. This way people can socialize, get together, and enjoy coming back home and their neighbors.
Okay. Did you have something?
Apparently, we've learned that there's some burial sites on the property there. How do you expect to remedy that if this plan moves forward, or what are your intentions regarding that?
Yeah, so there is a burial site. I believe it's 150 years old plus. It's going to be done through, I don't know, Mike Lucas could probably talk about the procedure more about this. It's supposed to go through a resolution. Is that correct? Yeah. So Mike is very aware of the burial site, and we've talked to our attorney, and he's talked to Mike about the procedure that we need to finalize it and remove it. And actually move it. I should say not remove it. Move it.
Yeah, we talked about the procedure statutorily that would be required.
Right.
authorization for trustees. And I'm still talking to Tony and Andy about wanting to go on and have an informal inspection of where it's located.
Right.
So you,
Okay.
I don't think I mentioned that to you last time.
Yeah, so it's been ongoing and it's going in the right direction. It's just a matter of when it'll happen between the resolutions and all that. So we are going to take care of it.
And whose responsibility is that?
It's
Well, it's assuming that the trustees wish to proceed forward with the resolution to that effect. At least initially, is in the hands of the trustees. However, there's been some rigorous discussion about having 20th century construction handle the cost and some willingness expressed to do that depending on when we get everything finalized.
Okay,
Which we appreciate on behalf of the town.
thanks. Okay,
It looks like there's some existing structures, some houses that are already in the area that plan to stay up.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Initially, the house on the western portion of the property, we were intent to take it down, but the property owner on the eastern portion had actually expressed some interest in actually looking at it and possibly might be a location that he might want to move to. So right now they're going to stay, but they can be taken down as well. So we kind of had our final plan based on those houses staying, and then if we want to take them down, then we can build a different house on there. And then I think on the RCD plan, once we get to that, you'll see on Canterwood Trail where the former Locksterman house is, there's 2 lots to the south that are wider. So we're trying to make that transition from existing the single family and kind of transition over to the our community, the New York community.
It looked like there was one house on, I think, the other side that if in the RCD plan, the back of the house would actually be facing the front of the road.
Correct.
Okay.
which house is that? Is it on the, it's depicted on?
It's
so-
on, oh, yeah.
So on the RCD plan that you're presenting, the houses that you're referring to, are those ones in pink? Is that correct?
Yeah, yes.
And the back, the property you're talking to is which, is that
I believe it's on the right there.
41?
Yes,
So this would be the rear of the house?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we plan on putting, landscaping in front of it, so you're not looking at so the people that eventually move in there. Right now, the homeowners, the property owner is in there, and then when he decides to sell it or leave, we'll put some landscaping up there. But that's the plan, is to landscape that area.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
may I ask a question?
Sure.
If these are public roads, are you planning on street lighting district in there? Are you going to petition the trustees for street lighting? Are you having street lights on these roads? Or requesting them? Since it's
we didn't get that far about street lighting. It's we'd probably prefer it, just because when we did Summerwood, I don't think streetlights were required, but I think we put them in anyway.
well, there's a process to petition the trustees. I wasn't
Oh,
sure
it's-
whether these were public roads or private roads, so,
They're public.
okay.
Yes.
So you would have to go through the whole process if that's something that you wanted to do.
Okay.
And Heather can help you through that.
Is there any more questions from the trustees or up here when I move through the zoning commission, actually? Actually, before I get to any more, is there anybody else on the applicant side that has anything they want to add at this point? Okay, seeing none, what I'm going to do for the zoning commission, I'm going to go through the list sort of in the order I checked you in, just that way I make sure I catch everybody, and then those that are virtual, we don't step on each other as far as order of talking. So I'm just going to go down, and if you have any questions for the applicant or comments, if you have none, just please say that you don't have any, and we'll move along. And I will start with Andy Lingenfelter.
Thank you, Morgan. For the lots that, I'm not, seeing the lots in your RCD plan, the existing home structures, lot 25, lot 39, lot 41, as far as I can tell, is that correct? 25, 39, 41,
Correct.
okay. They're not, I don't see them on your yield plan. So did you just include a house in your yield plan, or did you include those structures?
We did the yield plan based on what the current zoning would allow.
But those are existing homes, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so why, would there be a reason why they wouldn't be in your yield plan? You know what I'm saying?
Well, we're not technically going to be building the yield plan
Then why'd you do a yield plan?
because to get to the RCD, we have to present a yield plan.
Okay.
That's what they're asking us to do is we want to do RCD, but they're asking us to design a drawing, which we're not technically going to be building.
But in your yield plan, you don't have the existing structure. So how would you accommodate those in the yield plan?
Well, we're not building the yield plan.
Well, it's just based on the number of acres. The yield plan is just based on the overall acreage.
I understand. But I'm just curious as to why they wouldn't be on, those structures wouldn't be on the yield plan. Because those, I would think that they wouldn't be lots. Are those lots owned by somebody, or are they part of the?
Well, they're part of the property.
We're part of the, so nobody's living there?
No,
No.
they won't be, no.
And they're
We're
vacant. So,
purchasing them.
are you going to tear them down and?
Well, that's part of the process of why we kind of left on our final plan that we want to build. Just leave those as a lot, so we have the option to tear them down, or someone can move it. Like I kind of explained, like the homeowner on the eastern property had expressed some interest of, maybe that could be possible if we moving into there.
Lot 41?
Yes. Now, that's all just hearsay and talk, but we want to keep our flexibility open and not be kind of locked in anything. So to move forward, we said, let's plan accordingly for that, so.
Plan as if they may be coming down.
I'm sorry, can you speak up?
Well, I said just plan as if they may be coming down, but hopefully keep them up for some of the eyes on the list.
And then can you tell me, what is the structure on Goose Road that's got the grade thing on the road right away? What is that?
That's the clubhouse.
Oh, that's the club.
Yeah, that's the clubhouse with the little gray. I know if you have a small plan, it's harder to see, but that's like parking.
Is that a parking lot?
Yeah, that's like parking slots.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Got the, I was wondering what the lines were, I wasn't sure. But
Yeah, it's you probably should have had a little symbol on the corner.
Right, okay, so that's the clubhouse. You also, and now the pool's gonna be there with the clubhouse?
Yeah, it's marked on there as the little blue area.
Is there any other structures anywhere else that'll be associated for the residents?
Not currently
So
planned, no.
strictly that clubhouse will be on the corner with the pool, and it'll all be on that one, in that one area?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a reason behind the structure on the retention pond that runs the long, skinny retention pond? Is it, you couldn't do anything beyond that? Is that your thought? I know it's just a plan. But
Wait, what structure?
The long, skinny Suez Canal.
Oh.
Still at 55 or 50.
Oh, you're talking about the retention area.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's just the way the engineer kind of designed it. I think once, this is a preliminary.
Sure, right, I understand.
Yeah, so once we get the actual surveying data, it could change a little bit, could be tweaked a little bit, you could find a different area for retention. But based on the data that he pulled out the GIS, this is kind of what he came up with.
Now, in your calculation, did you include the retention pond in your calculation for your open space? Is that included or is that excluded? I'm just asking.
The retention, it should be included.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing with the one in the front of this, on bordering.
Yes.
Okay. And then on the lots on the back end, on the western part of the property, that are marked, delineated as, wetlands, and then wetlands impact, you have two lots that are directly on that. Is there gonna be any consideration as far, because it looks to me like that on lot 16, at the back corner of that house, would kind of impact the wetland, is that
Yeah, it's showing impact. It is showing. I know your copy's probably pretty small, but it is showing light green impact there, and then just towards the back of the lot, it gets darker green.
Right.
So I think we're under the half acre. I know we're under the half acre threshold for wetland. We try to.
Is there plans to mitigate, or are you gonna mitigate that, or are you going to
No.
just leave it as is?
Do it as is. Yeah. And when the final design, you know what I mean, when we get the final data and all the readings and things like that for the plan and retention area, it could tweak a little bit. I mean, we're trying not to impact the wetlands as much as possible. As you can tell, our plan pretty much stays out of that area. We would prefer to be under 0.1.
Right. And what about lot 4? I mean, lot 4, that house is like right smack in the middle of the wetland.
That one we can really not do anything about. That's pretty much where that road's gotta go. For Lake County planning, Canterwood Trail has to connect to another street up to Goose. So that was the most logical spot, and unfortunately we could not avoid that. And I think that's 0.09, I believe.
Okay. All right, and then the cemeteries, it's what, 21? Lot 21 is cemetery or not? 22, 20?
It's kind of in that cul-de-sac, actually by 17, 18 area from what.
17, 18?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's like right in the front of those lots, so that's another thing, once we get that obviously relocated.
Right.
Won't be an issue.
And then Canterwood Trail will connect all the way through. What's that hobby horse back there, I think?
It goes.
Yeah, okay, hobby horse, and it'll join to Moose Road.
Yeah, it goes on the other side of Button.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, there should be good, two accesses out of there.
Have you given any thought on lots 27 and 28, where they transition from the RCD into the existing homes? Have you given any thought to transitioning that in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning earlier. 27 and 28, they're wider lots, so we might more likely have those as single-family homes. They might not be Epcon product, but they might be could still be a ranch, or could be single-family.
Okay.
So that's why we made them wider, is to accommodate a different product.
And understand, I understand we're basically spitballing here.
Yep.
Nothing's in stone and that, but I just want to understand where you're going with this.
Yeah, the intention on those two lots is to make them wider lots. So like I think I mentioned earlier, the transition from Hobby Horse Canterwood Trail coming up, and then all of a sudden now you're kind of in a new community. So we're trying to make that transition as best as possible.
Right. Gotcha. I think that's pretty much it for me at this point. I think that you answered all my questions. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
If you have any questions, just email me, call me.
Oh, you know me, I'll ask.
I know.
Okay, moving through the list on the zoning commission, Frank Schindler, participating by the phone. If you have any comments or questions for the applicant.
I just have a comment. Once that developers come in for conservation development, my understanding is you always want to be able to minimize your footprint in the area being considered to be developed. In other words, you minimize all the area and don't disturb the land as it is. You keep the enhancement and the beauty that people can enjoy. And I noticed on this plan, you have already decided to alter the two existing ponds that are there into such a configuration, you're going to disturb everything that we look to keep. You're going to be altering all those ponds, and that's one of the things that I find kind of disturbing. That's the reason why we want developers to use this plan to minimize the construction areas that is the enhancement of the duty of the land. But in this plan that you are proposing, you're going to be altering all those ponds, which means you're going to be disturbing them. And Lord knows how many years it will take to get back to something that's nice looking, and maybe people, wildlife coming in and living in an area, fish, and whatever it might be there. They're losing it all by this type of development. And I find that somewhat disturbing, to be honest with you. That's my comment.
Can I comment on that?
Sure.
Those are man-made ponds, just so you know. They're not natural ponds. Those are man-made. The owners of the property put those on there.
Aren't those ponds already nicely, I mean, they're ponds themselves. I'm sure they're already, have grown up over the years, and they already have a character of their own. And from what I understand, they're already going back in there and digging them up and changing everything, which diverts, which obviously defeats the object of keeping the land pristine as it is today. It's going to take years for it to ever take some kind of, character of its own. Once you turn into it and unaltered it, that's my understanding, which is why you're doing.
But we're going to try to develop the ponds as best as we can to meet all the natural drainage of the property. So that's either way, any pond or retention area is going to have to be adjusted a little bit. Because this is a preliminary, so once we get the final preliminary, once we do all the engineering, the engineer is going to, those ponds could be sufficient how they are, but we're going to have to figure out, they're going to have to do calculations and work with stormwater to meet that regulation.
Well, I would purposely, I'll take one of the things I'll take into consideration in looking at this proposal is how much those parent ponds, for example, or anything else, is going to be altered in such a way that we defeat the purpose of the enhancement of the property the way it currently is, and in its pristine condition as it is today. So I just want to let you know what I'm going to be looking at.
And I think unless Frank has anything else to add, and I think, the purpose of the pre-application meeting is just for this pre-dialogue before you apply.
Okay.
So I think, it's nice that Frank shares his perspective, and you can kind of go to, have that in your mind, so when you get to the point of application, you've heard a zoning commissioner express concern about that point. So, so moving through the order, I've got Hiram next on my list. If any questions, comments?
Sure. Lots, I guess 8 through maybe 11, 8 through 10, they're in the existing pond right now. Is that really going to be a buildable lot?
Yes.
You're going to set a house in a pond?
The
Filled
pond's
in
not,
pond.
the pond's not going to be there. Yeah.
I know, but it's going to be filled in, right?
Yes, correct.
So,
I should say, it'll be altered.
yes, okay. Talking, and then 40, lots 42 through 45. They're, in my opinion, they're debatable whether they're going to be buildable or not. With the slope of the land, it drops off pretty quick.
Well, those are going to be walkouts. Those will have
Basement, that's
those
for
will have
sure.
basements.
Which
That's
lots?
For sure they are.
42, 45.
Yep.
And then,
Hiram, which one were you talking about?
Yeah, we've built on
45 through 42.
yeah, we have built on slopes like that before, so that's not new.
And then coming in on Bannerwood Trail, you did the transition on one side of the road, but not the other side. Why is that? Lots 26 and 27 is your transition from R1 into your RCD. From 28, 29, and 30 aren't, those three don't, that side of the road doesn't have a transition.
No, it does not.
Any reason why it wasn't?
We decided just on that side of the street for right now with that house there, looking on the left when you're driving, or depending on which way you're driving, that you're kind of looking at that side of the street. So you're not looking at the other side of the street.
And then the one thing I noticed that the parks are all in the back of the lots, and there's no access to any of the parks except the one with the proposed swimming pool from the street. So you have to go through someone's yard to get into one of the parks, any of the parks.
Well, a lot of the parks are going to be wooded. So that's why we're trying to create one community area so everyone can go and enjoy that open space, but yet have the beauty of the property behind the lots so people look out their windows in the back and see all the trees and all the greenery stuff. So that's where we want people to go to congregate in one area rather than in 5 different parks on one piece of property.
Right. Thank you. That's it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Rich Peterson, participating by phone. Comments, questions?
Yes, I have just a question about the open space, which is about just under 14 acres divided into what are 4 distinct different parks. My question is, what are your thoughts on landscaping of those areas, particularly along the perimeter of Hoos Road and Morley Road?
Landscaping on Morley Road, that's a ravine in the back there. We can't even touch most of that on Morley Road because there's a big ravine there and there's trees pretty much along that whole street.
Okay, I know along Hoos Road there are a number of old fruit trees that blossom every spring, and they're kind of where the reconfigured existing pond is today. And the pond will be there in the future, but the other areas along Hoos Road, would there be any thoughts of planting something like pine trees or something like that along that perimeter so that the neighborhood is kind of set away from Hoos Road?
Yeah, we discussed something about putting along that Hoos Road because of just the way the houses face the back of those lots. We haven't come up with a landscape plan yet, but that's a good point of addressing that. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. We should address the landscaping along Hoos Road.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Rich Ifelis, who's here in person.
Thank you, Morgan. Thank you for being here, answering some questions. Mine would start, if I may, to the yield plan. So, kind of a technical observation that I find the yield plan is not fully developed enough. I don't think the 56 is a reasonable number if you do the yield plan fully developed by an engineer. So there are a number of grading issues, the way that the lots are situated, particularly on the wetlands on the yield plan. I do not see, or I recommend that the yield plan be more fully developed by an engineer to justify 56 lots.
I guess I'm not.
It's technical, and I don't labor the meeting this evening, but I don't think the yield plan is sufficiently developed to justify 56 lots.
I guess what is specific area? are you referring to?
I have to get into it technically.
Oh, well, then you can, if you wanna
Yes.
email me some points, because we spent a lot of time in adjustments, and we met with Dave, and we met with Heather on this plan, and went over it and over it and over it. So I just wanna understand what we
Yeah.
did not address on here that, okay, we can, yeah.
The second is related to the wetlands. Have they been affirmed by Army Corps of
Yes,
Engineers?
on the western portion, yes. On the eastern portion, not yet.
So then as the property, they have determined a jurisdictional determination for those wetlands?
But are you talking about the eastern portion?
The wetlands in general, has a jurisdictional determination been made by the Army Corps of Engineers?
Yeah, they affirmed it, yes. The study we have and the map we have of that has been affirmed by the Army Corps.
So then what was the conclusion on the ponds?
The ponds, we can, there's like half acre that we can fill.
Well, the ponds are considered waters of the state, so.
Yeah.
IEPA may require a permit from IEPA. Is it?
You may, I'll have to talk to my wetlands consultant, because he said
Yes.
we can, those are man-made ponds, as he explained, and we knew. So you can fill up to a half an acre of a man-made pond.
Okay, so my observation again is, man-made or not, it's existed for a number of years, and now it's become a water of the state. So it's just a advice to the engineer.
Okay.
IEPA's got to probably issue a permit for you to do what you do. And then towards that, again, more technical, is the stormwater management concept is not fully developed here as I expected.
Yeah, it's just a preliminary,
But
right?
just by the contours, it doesn't seem feasible that the drainage can be accommodated going all everything south to north, as you're demonstrating. So it would seem to me there's gonna be some intermediate basin or some other way to manage the stormwater.
Yeah, that's like I said, we're having our engineer now, he did a field study, and they did a topo, so they're going through their process of, putting it all in the data. So this is all preliminary based off of GIS, which,
Understood. So
Yeah.
again, my advice, my suggestion is fully develop a field plan as well as this and may impact your design. The third item, I'll piggyback on my colleague here, related to building where a pond is set for years, is to look at the geology, the subsurface, and potential underground streams in that location, so they do design proper foundation for where you build them.
yeah, we're building slabs, yeah.
I've seen them, so,
Yes.
very quickly too. I'll piggyback again on my colleague related to Canterwood, and you had identified 26 and 27. The concept of building a single-family home, then you're just translating the problem from beyond your horse down a lot in the next lot. So still, there's still gonna be a single-family home next to a horse and heat. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, anytime you
So you just-
transition from an old subdivision
Right,
to a new
right.
piece of
So-
property, there is a transition.
So the
correct.
way I look at this is create buffer, use that opportunity for open space to buffer the R1 from the RCD. So that's kind of what Hiram was asking about, Andy was. That's just an observation. As opposed to building single family, well then it's still adjacent to the RCD, the next unit.
Right.
Lastly, just conceptually, the presentation indicated clients of 20th century. This is apparently based upon your clients. Was there a market study that you had undertaken? Is there a market for this, or?
Yeah, I can, probably Steve can speak to that better. Steve, they build these throughout the country.
When I'm saying a market, I mean, as opposed to single-family quarter-acre lots, is there a market here potentially for a more denser, consolidated, preserve more space, like townhomes or duplexes? Has there been any analysis or a market study to look at that as opposed to this?
We have not pursued townhomes or duplexes.
Okay, let's just.
I don't know if that would transition well from the single family to, I think they might be more upset, the residents that are on Canterwood Trail and Hobby Horse. I think they would want to kind of see something close similar. I don't even know if this townhouse is even, I mean, we really didn't pursue that option.
Well, on the other side of Ascot Farms, we have duplex condos on the other side, right off of Who's.
Is that transition from a different subdivision?
It's
into
right
it?
next, well, it comes right off of Who's, it's right next to Ascot.
So it's got its
Farms.
own separate entrance?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah.
I just a question.
Yeah, no, we really felt like the retirement homes, the downsizing is a big market, on bills and throughout the
I
country.
just really appreciate that, I was just
Yeah.
suggesting, could it be in something other than a single family home? That's all.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
And Ashley, any comments, questions? Okay. Okay, any further comments from the board, trustees?
Can I ask another question? Since I know I can't
Sure,
see
Mr.
you.
Linger. Yeah, I can't see you. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to follow up. I think if you look at, thanks, Heather. I think when you look at the aerial shot of this and take away the white, and the OPRC plan and the field plan, I think the aerial photo is much more telling in regards to some of the geography and topography you're dealing with here, especially, on the higher levels that was brought up on the RCE plan, houses 42 to 48 on that cul-de-sac. If you look at that, if you look at the gradations there, that's not a gently sloped area. Those grading lines are extremely tight, getting very, very sharp drop off.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
you say walk down basement, I say out in the back of the house and hang on the cliff. Okay,
Well,
that's, so,
just,
I mean,
just
that's just,
no, I hear what you're saying, but we developed property in Broadview Heights, and literally houses were half built in ravines. And guess what? Those were the best houses. People spent the most money on those lots
right.
because the view was absolutely beautiful. So what, in your mind, I guess, could be the worst lot, in somebody else's mind, could be the best lot because they want to walk out. They don't want anybody behind them. They have trees. They have greenery. So, beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
It's not my thought.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm looking strictly from the township standpoint.
Right.
Who buys what for their own personal residence is their business. I don't really care.
Right.
But I'm thinking about what the impact and the layout and the design overall and how things are put in here as a part of the design and how that is going to play with what's going on. I think that's a challenged area. That's just my personal opinion in looking at this. And I think another area that I think you should take a look at or seriously consider is on the other side, in the other cul-de-sac off of Cambridge Court there. It looks to me, and I don't, again, just from the aerial view shot, that area in that corner almost looks like there's some gentle sloped, pointed areas that run through there. It almost kind of look like there might be a stream or a creek, that kind of runs down that, and that would be in the far western corner.
Yeah, there's not. We did a wetland study on there. It's in a farm, so there is no stream in that area.
Okay, but just, when you look at the aerial shot of it.
Yeah, right.
And you look at the gradations and everything there.
Right.
It looks to me like it kind of focuses down that area with a pointed, all the pointed lines going down there. It looks like that might be a creek bed or some sort of ravine, potential stream.
Sure.
So, those were the two things that just, came up as I was looking at it, and especially Heimer brought up, I thought Heimer brought up a great point with those lots on that cul-de-sac, and how those really legitimately houses that can be counted in your design, but, I'm sure you're going to give that some good thought. And I also think that Rich's comments, I have police on on the pond and some of the other things I think were very valid and concerns. I think, if we get to a point where you're gonna be in front of the zoning commission, I would hope that you would be prepared to address those issues. So, other than that, good, thanks, Mark.
Okay, I've got one more comment here from Hiram, but I also do want to recognize we have David Radashi from the Lake County Planning Commission. So I'll let Hiram shoot and then give Dave an opportunity if he's got anything he wants to add.
On the RCD plans, what's the contour spacing?
RCD, I believe those are 2 feet.
That's every 2 feet?
2 feet, yeah, 2.
Same for the yield plan?
Yes. Yeah, like I said, it was pulled off to the GIS site, so that's what they have. So once we get the actual engineer's survey, we'll have a better read on the land and the topo and everything.
Dave, would you like to make any comments?
Just real quick on the RCD, on the yield plan. First of all, our first issue is kind of on Morley Road. The site distance is questionable. The planning commission had varied Thackham not to connect to Morley Road because of site distance issues. And so the location of this road is kind of iffy. There's a driveway for the 2 houses that comes up closer to the sublots off of Thackham, so that might be a better location for a road. But without actual doing engineering work on it, we can't say that for certain.
Yeah, I did have an engineer look at that, so I can forward that to you.
Okay.
He addressed that.
All right, lot sizes, there are 4 lots, 3 lots that do on the yield plan that do not meet minimum lot size for R1. Sublots 30, 38, and 46, and 42 none of them meet 5.505 an acre. They're all at half acre. Those are all too small. Sublot 42 is at the bottom of the hill. Generally sewer goes the other way. Sanitary sewer usually goes the other way. So this lot would be very difficult to get sanitary sewer to, so it would be difficult to declare it a 0.505 lot, because one of the criteria for 0.505 lots in R1 is sanitary sewer. They would need to have a grinder pump at the very least, or they could declare that to be a septic lot, which is 0.75 an acre, but then you have to deal with the wetlands, and you can't put a septic into the wetland. On this plan, they were proposing to have, looks like they're having all the existing buildings torn down. That's all I got on that one. On the yield plan, on the RCD plan, on where the long existing proposed pond that they're going to do on the north side, behind 49 and 48, is that more than 25 feet wide? According to your regulations, the open space has to be 25 feet wide. Okay, that needs to be marked. There's a driveway for the 2 existing houses currently. You're going to keep that for maintenance of that wetland, of that detention pond, and on the open space coming off of Morley Road.
That would be
I'm sorry, that would be
abandoned.
The open space behind 28 through 32 is actually landlocked. That needs to have some sort of access, an easement, or fee simple, so the owners of the open space have access to the open space for maintenance purposes. The location of the going Kennerwood was recommended to the developers. Our regulations would allow it to be moved 150 feet offset off of Trotwood, but a 4-way intersection is what we would recommend. for this property. So we're happy with the location, but it doesn't have to be there. We didn't tell him he had to put it there, but that's where we would like it to be. They're showing parking spaces in the right of way. That's gonna be on top of sanitary sewer lines, water lines, and storm sewers, and in your right of way, it's a public road. There are some regulations that we will have to adhere to in the subdivision regulations for conservation development, and we require a 35-foot design buffer from wetlands. So we like to see them design sublots 15 and 16. They're proposing to mitigate some wetlands. It might need to be need to show that these houses are going to be further away, 35 feet away from the edge of the wetland as a design standard. We don't have after the plat's filed, we don't have any enforcement authority on that road. Does anybody have any questions about basic subdivision process, or any questions on the development? That's all I have.
I have some correspondence here from Stormwater Management, two different emails. I'm just gonna go ahead and read them for the record so that you sort of have that feedback as well.
Okay.
First one is from Chad Edgar to Heather Freeman, dated today. The R1 plan shows wetland locations and topography that suggests there are potentially streams on the property. Has the applicant obtained an approved wetland delineation? If so, the appropriate riparian setbacks would be incorporated in the R1 plan. Also, the open space in the RCD plan should not include stormwater infrastructure. The goal of a resource conservation district plan is to protect the natural resource function of the parcel prior to development. A stormwater pond in open spaces does not accomplish that task. The percentage of open space calculated should only include natural open space, not utility lines and stormwater infrastructure. Overall, the proposed RCD plan does protect the majority of wetlands on site. However, the percentage of open space is inflated, in my opinion. The plan should be redrawn with only natural areas in the open space. That's from Chad Edgar, our resource specialist. And the second one, also received today, Wednesday the 3rd. Hi Heather, won't be able to make the pre-op meeting tonight for Canterwood Farms, but did have some comments on the prelim RCD plan I want to get to you. If you have any questions, at least feel free to let me know. Plan appears to show the eastern existing pond to be reconfigured and constructed right along the rear property lines of the house on Isley Square. The existing topography slopes towards the house on Isley, which may put those homes directly downstream of reconfigured pond's embankment, depending on how the subdivision grading is proposed. I.e., it would be a safety issue if the embankment ever failed and released water towards those houses on Isley. This is subject to how we will grade the subdivision though. Rear lots 12 through 21 need to be captured and routed to a stormwater pond prior to being discharged off-site. Stormwater ponds and stormwater sewers to meet Lake County standards, and houses to have access to yard drains and drainage features. One comment on the R1 yield plan is that maybe a stretch reach is that Cambridge Court and surrounding homes would need stormwater management. With the existing topography, I don't think this area's water would be able to make it to the existing pond to the east. Therefore, another practice would be to need to be implemented somewhere near Cambridge Court, thus impacting more wetlands or lots. I know we ran into a similar issue on Eagle Point, trying to make arguments since in-depth engineering isn't required on these plans. It's difficult to say what would not be possible, Steve. I guess I'll just add that we did hear a couple things in these letters that were also echoed by commission members and Mr. Adachi. So if I don't have any more comments from the commission, you have some information. I think you got some feedback. from boards here tonight, some things potentially to think about. And I know that our zoning board and our zoning department remain available for your consultation to sort of work through these things. Do you have any questions for us before we wrap this up, or anything you'd like to just say in closing?
No, I appreciate the feedback. It's gonna help us develop a plan that, you know, everybody is on board with, hopefully. So that's our main goal, is to just get a plan that works with everybody, so.
Okay,
So
well,
the comments are definitely welcomed. We'll take those into consideration and try to implement them in the plan.
okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you for showing up. And again, yeah, I hope you take the comments that we've had yours constructively. I mean, this is our opportunity to dialogue with you before you make an application.
Right.
Obviously, if you made an application and we were in process now, you'd be further into it, and it's probably nice to have this feedback now. So, we're like the fact that you're interested in doing something in Concord. So, and we like conservation. So.
I think it'll be a really nice community in the area that, I don't think there's anything like it.
Okay. All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, and with that, I'm going to end the special meeting, and I think what we'll do is take a 5-minute break just to transition from the special meeting to the trustee meeting. So we'll close this meeting and we'll convene the trustee meeting at about 5 minutes.